This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. We have a very special program tonight because Miss Christine has been very helpful in my family program. And it's been such a wonderful joy getting to know her. She is, I call her a woman for all seasons. She's an educator, she's a scholar, and she's a tremendous helper in her church. And she cares deeply for people. Today we're talking about something that happened in our family program a few weeks ago. And Miss Christine came out and she shared her early life. She had the courage to say that at age 14, she became pregnant. And of course, you know, that's not an unusual occurrence sometime in our country, but she was willing to talk about it. But what struck me was how her family rallied around her in such a way that you didn't miss her beat at all. Right. Did I say that rightly?
You did.
Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Yes.
Listening?
Good day. My name is Christine Williams, and those things that Dr. Allen said is true. I am a teacher now. Previously, I was a social worker, then a guidance counselor, an educator, counselor. Yes. But my family is really the backbone of me. So yes, my family is very, very important.
You know, when I first met you, I have some Americans who come down to work with me periodically, and they came to that family meeting in East Street. And at that meeting, you know, you were asked, who's the boss of your home? And you said, my husband. And the lady there looked at me as, oh, that's refreshing. But it didn't move you at all. You just said, sure. He bosses some things, I boss some things, and we get on together.
Absolutely. It is a joint venture, really. I'm in charge when I'm at work. I expect to be in charge. That's my business. I have no problems letting my husband be the head of our home. It does not mean that I'm a doormat. It means that I trust him to make decisions that would benefit my home, my family. And so I have no problems allowing him to take that leadership. He is proven to be a man who looks out for his family. So why not trust him to do that? And then it's too much pressure. It's too much weight to try to lead everything. Let him do it.
You handled it so smoothly. It didn't really faze you at all. You said, sure, he's the boss in some things, I'm the boss in other things, but we get on very well. It's kind of mutual submission.
Absolutely, it is. And I think that is what makes it work for us. But when you lead, if you lead with a servant heart, if you lead with love, it's not a weight. And it doesn't mean that we don't have disagreements. We discuss things, and he has no problem saying, oh, okay, your idea is better, or okay, his is better. And I think that is so important in our relationship.
So he's a servant leader, and you're a servant leader, and you're both are followers.
And that works for us.
But the miracle of that session, Miss Christine, was that you shared that experience at 14 years old when you went to your doctor's office and you got the news that you were pregnant. Describe to us what that felt at 14 years of age.
I would say, honestly, I don't remember very much about that meeting. I, to this day, cannot remember the actual examination. And but when I remember sitting in front of the doctor's desk with my sister, and I remember him saying, she's pregnant. And the only thing I remember, this is my second sister now who took me, only thing I remember saying is, how are we going to tell mommy and daddy? Anything else after that, I honestly don't remember.
Ms. Christine, what were you feeling when you heard that? She's pregnant.
I think I was just numb.
Oh, numb. You felt so much that you felt numb.
I felt numb. Like, you know, all the other feelings came. Well, some before, the fear, before actually going to the doctor. I think maybe to preface for the sake of the audience that I grew up in Andros, and if anybody's my age, 60, they would, and if they lived on the Family Island, they would be familiar, probably, that would have been the 60s, they would be familiar with the Common Entrance Examination. And so I took that exam, passed it, and what happens with the Common Entrance is the government pays for you to attend a private school of your choice. And so I came to Nassau on that, on a scholarship. And I had older siblings who were living here. My parents stayed in Andros, and the younger sibling was in Andros. And I came up here to go to school, it was at QC, and live with my older siblings. And there was this guy who was a friend of the family. He was 2 years older than me, good friend of my favorite cousin, and so he was always around. And so you have 2 children who think they're in love, engage in sex, and I got pregnant. And so it terrified me that once I missed that period, this is what I did. I was so scared. I wrote a note and said, I missed my period. We were the family thing. We always met at my grandmother's house. And I dropped the note in my sister's purse, a second sister's purse, making sure she saw me put a note in her purse. And she called me that night. She said, I'm going to pick you up from school tomorrow. And she did that, took me to the doctor, and that's when we found out, when it was confirmed that I was pregnant.
Now, Christina, when you heard the news, I know you feel numb now, but looking back at Christine, age 14, how do you feel she really felt?
Scared, embarrassed. Scared is really not an adequate word. Terrified. The shame of it, the disappointment.
The shame was what?
The shame was you having sex and you're this age, having sex and then to get pregnant. I had no knowledge about, okay, this is what you do to prevent pregnancy. You know, I'm sure there are families where they talked about sex. Ours wasn't one of them. And of course, during that period of time, it wasn't discussed in school. But now, like I'm at school, I tell the kids all the time. But then shame, disappointment in myself, the shame and embarrassment had to do too.
What does shame feel like at 14? Looking back now, sometime at 14 we don't understand shame. But now you're at 50 or 40.
Yeah.
Looking back when you were 14, what did shame feel like?
It felt like you need to go under a rock. Like
you need to go under what?
A rock. Like
a rock.
I didn't want anybody to see me. Yes.
Okay. Very important, because
yeah.
shame always involves hiding. In fact, it comes from a German Indian word, and the idea is it's a losing of face, but it's also hiding behind a wall or rock. It's very interesting you named it.
Yes.
You felt that you had to go under a rock.
I technically hid.
What would the rock achieve?
I don't know that it achieved anything because all the people in our circles knew about it. But I kept as low a profile as possible. It meant that I wasn't out and about. My family would see me because we'll be at family gatherings, my family here. The only other time I would go out publicly was when I had to go to the clinic to see the doctor. So there was no maternity clothes. I thank God that the 70s was polyester style time. So to this day, I remember what I wore constantly. Navy blue pants, a flowered blue thing, so it stretched. So yeah, I stayed indoors most of the time.
Wow. And the shame and hiding under a rock from who? Yourself or your family or from people?
People in general. My family knew, even of course the extended family. I never went to Andros during that pregnancy.
That's why?
Because the small community we lived in, the embarrassment I felt my parents had to go through as well. My mother, we grew up in church.
So a pregnancy for a young girl is a shame for her. I had under a rock, but also you're saying it's also a shame for the parents.
I felt that it would be a shame and disappointment. My parents were so, neither one of my parents, I think, would have completed primary school. Maybe third, fourth grade, you had to come out, go to work. So for them, education was extremely important.
And you got that government scholarship, right? Mm-hmm. You got the school of your choice, and then pregnancy.
And it's jeopardized. And for us, even though my mom was, primarily my mother, big in terms of spiritual instruction, education they saw was the way out, I think. They never really vocalized that, you know, but that was the thing. And all of my siblings did that. They were accomplishing with, and to this day I look and I say, wow, my parents have always been so proud of what we would have accomplished. And so, yeah, that, I didn't go because I was embarrassed. Everybody knew us, knew my parents. I knew I put them through a lot. And so the shame too was, I'm adding shame to my family. My siblings up here didn't seem to.
The shame of yourself.
Yes.
And now you were adding shame to your
my family. Yes.
You got the scholarship from Andros, and now your world had collapsed. What's it like when a young girl's world collapses?
You don't know, you have the worry of what your future will look like. Oh, okay. The worry of what your future will look like. I never
the future dies.
Yeah, it's like, what is going to happen? Am I during that time, I didn't know a lot of young girls who had gotten pregnant. So I can't say I had a reference.
We kept it very hidden in the Bahamas, didn't
Absolutely.
we? And, families work within themselves. And of course, you know, let's be really honest, around the world, it's not uncommon for families to seek abortions. Was that an issue for you?
It wasn't. To this day, every
what
time
was
the abortion. Yes. Now, if it was discussed, I was never privy to that discussion. But
do you understand some families who would want their daughter to have an abortion?
Of course, yes. It's for them to save face, I feel.
It's what?
For the family to save face.
In what way?
Especially if it is an affluent family.
If it's what, an affluent family?
Yes.
And the abortion would save face?
Yes, so nobody knows this is what happened. Or it could be, okay, this is the best remedy so that my child then can continue with education and all of those things. But for my family, like I said, the thing I remember my sister saying is, Lord, how are we going to tell mommy and daddy?
Lord, how are we going to tell
yes.
mommy and daddy?
And so
when you heard her say that, what did you feel?
My heart dropped. If it could have just dropped out of my body, that was it, because I thought, I will be killed.
Wow.
I thought, you know, listen, I never got beaten by my father, but mommy, that was the terrorist. But not without love. We never experienced, you were punished for what you did, but never abused, in my opinion.
So, Christine, you're saying a pregnancy at 14 for young girls, like a bomb goes off.
I'm telling you.
And everything, your future, your family is exploding.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt.
We're going to take a break and be right back.